you look at the mixture of the type of light and the wavelengths that are available when we're outside versus inside. You've got the sheer intensity of volume of light is so much greater outside compared to inside. There is an aspect to being outside that I don't think is talked about enough, because I think to try and research it, it becomes very complicated and difficult. But I often talk to patients about, what we don't encounter in an outdoor environment is the four walls. We've got walls and ceilings in our visual space where if we were outdoors, we'd have open space. We wouldn't have those things. And there's an argument that maybe the retina, being a little bit of brain tissue that we point at things, actually is picking up and detecting that things are closer in general, and that may drive some sort of adaptation to, develop myopia, which is great vision for caves, but not good for much else. And so I think it's a combination of, a lack of movement through a natural space without walls, and the sheer volume and type of light that we're not getting when we're inside.
And last month we talked about how free time outdoors is also important for cognitive aspects,
Absolutely.
isn't it? So would you like to speak about that a little bit more?
Well, and that's the thing I think we need to look at with any sort of TV to some extent, but certainly when you get into games and devices and stuff, that world is created for you. It's highly visual. You're not creating the imagery in your own head. You're not using your own imagination, and those sorts of things are vital to good cognitive development. Is actually solving problems. The type of problems you solve in games might look quite complex, but they're still bound by the rules of the game and by the environment that they've been programmed in. There's nothing like making up your own rules and having your own interactions in a natural environment to kind of really get your brain to learn how to problem solve properly.
Yeah, I was thinking when I was thinking about this morning that we've probably heard the term helicopter parenting. In some countries, there's the phenomenon that they describe as being a tiger mom. I'm not sure if that's a derogatory term or not. I'm sorry if it is, but I think we know what we mean here. That like a lot of parents now sort of micromanage their kids' free time activities. So do you think that's maybe also having an effect here in terms of like the increase in myopia?
Maybe actually, I think the other way is actually putting it on the kids to manage themselves, and it's probably sort of energy in the wrong places. I have a lot of kids. Oh, I can't get him off the screen. It's like, well, the self regulation is not there when they're young, and it's very easy if you turn your back for them to lose a couple of hours on a device or indoor time. So I think it does need a little bit more of a concerted effort, and that discomfort of sort of saying, no, you need to turn the device off, or limiting it within the household. So I think there are times when maybe that tiger needs to come out a bit more and a bit more targeted at the amount of screen use.
Right. You mentioned about light, and I've had some discussions recently with professionals about about poor light. So, for example, like reading in a dark room, for example, and I've always kind of wondered, is that apart from eye strain, which we'd probably assume is the case, but is there anything around reading in poor lighting conditions that might also increase the progression of myopia?
Yeah, look, that's a really interesting one, and I read an article recently where they were looking at people wearing myopia control, prescribed myopia controlled spectacles versus regular spectacles, and the lack of decent lighting while doing a near activity indoors may influence how effective those spectacles are. So it kind of is suggestive that if the lack of light might decrease the effectiveness of a myopia control lens, then that makes light fairly important, or the lack of it fairly important. So, I would certainly be leaning into, reading in dim light being a risky thing to do, particularly if it's done for many hours.